Perhaps this is also the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Angelien Steen. I'm a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist, and I'm here with Pauline Sam and Sylvie de Cabba. And with the three of us, we will present you some research on meaning in life in personality disorders. This is a PhD project, and the supervising team consists of Professor Arjen Baan, who's present here, Gerard Glas, Han Berghuis, and Carmen Schumann. And it's a PhD project from the University of Humanistic Studies. And most of the patients, or all of the patients, are recruited from GGZ Centraal, a large mental hospital in the midst of the Netherlands. And most people are recruited from the personality disorder department of the Center of Psychotherapy. I'll first give a general introduction of our three studies together, and then I'll focus on my study. Meaning in life is well, a fuzzy concept is perhaps not the right word, but it's a difficult concept, and existential meaning in life comprises three sub-concepts: purpose, coherence, and mattering. And Martella and Steger had a beautiful article in 2016, and I quote, "Purpose refers to a sense of core goals and direction in life. Coherence refers to comprehensibility, understanding, and a life making sense, and mattering refers to life's inherent value and having a worthy life." And I became curious because in the handbook of the DSM-5, there's an alternative model of personality disorder, and it consists of personality dysfunctioning and maladaptive personality traits, and surprise, in the self-directedness functioning of the personality functions of identity, self-direction, empathy, and intimacy. The setting of coherent and meaningful goals is part of self-directedness. So I thought, hey, it's a meaning in life is a personality function, but we'll see. In these three studies, there's one study in which we divided the groups in PD groups with and without depression, because depression, Arjen did a lot of research on that. Depression and meaning are related. There's a large correlation of depression and lack of meaning, and it's also almost by definition related to a lack of meaning. And it's very frequent comorbid. It's the most comorbid disorder in personality disorder. Positive affect is strongly associated with meaning, and positive affect is also a part of extroversion. And it's not the same as negative affect, but negative affect, having positive affect is mostly that you don't have negative affect, but it can be combined. And a worldview such as religion, spirituality can provide meaning, and also self-transcendence can provide meaning. And I thought, well, let's take these two dimensions of meaning in life also, or sources of meaning of life, into the research. It's long known that relationships are the major source of meaning. So we took that in account. And life stories can give unity and purpose in life, and it's called narrative identity, and it's also a part of identity and personality function. And we have a qualitative study on that too. And self-transcendence we used as a personality dimension originating from Cloninger. It's been said also in the previous presentation, it's about meaning in life. It's not about meaning of life. We can't have an answer on that. Concluding, meaning in life seems to contain facets within personality and facets independent of personality. And The aim of the studies and of the PhD project is to better understand patients with personality disorders suffering from a lack of meaning in life. And it was just yesterday that we said goodbye to patients who had clinical psychotherapy for 1 year, and she said in her last words, I've zest for life again. So I thought, hey, that's nice to hear. What did we do? We have 3 studies, a quantitative analysis, I'll start with that, of questionnaires. And we had 3 groups, PD patients, PD with depression patients, and controls. And we all assessed it before treatment. I'm still analyzing after treatment. We have a qualitative inductive analysis, Pauline did that, of 5 open questions about personal meaning in life, before and after treatment in the PD group and a control group. And we have a narrative analysis of life stories. Sylvie did that, of life stories in PD patients before and after treatment. And that's with 19 patients. And she utilizes a definition of meaning in life according to the philosophical framework of Visions of the Good by Charles Taylor. Very experimental. Well, we will highlight the general results, that levels of meaning in life are generally low in PD patients, and even more when they suffer from depression. The themes of meaning in life seem to be highly diverse, but it's about contact with significant others, and they're changeable during treatment. And we will elaborate on this. And it's very interesting also because of Viktor Frankl with his search for meaning, that the levels of search for meaning didn't differ between the groups. And I have a sort of explanation for that because especially Stiger did a study on it. General conclusion, patients with PD and comorbid depression are especially at risk of experiencing a low sense of meaning in life. Well, it seems quite logical. A religious worldview contributes to meaning in life in personality disorders, in patients with personality disorders. One study indicates that treatment is likely to contribute to the restoration of meaning in life. It's a psychotherapeutic treatment. In that study, interpersonal functioning represented a key element and a major source of meaning. And we think that treatment increases reflection, so increases also the coherent side of the concept of meaning in life, and it increases also reflection on what is lacking and what is needed to make life meaningful. And that can also be painful when you realize what is lacking. This is the general part, and now I'll start with the quantitative study. And again, in the DSM-5, in the alternative model, section 3, all in the back of the book, it says that personality functioning is essential for the diagnosis of personality dysfunctioning is essential for the diagnosis of personality disorder, besides the traits. And self-directedness has in it the setting of coherent and meaningful goals. It's not about attaining, but it's about the setting. So that is why we choose to ask PD patients. We wanted to account for depression because we did a previous study, and then we found out that depression also had a large relationship with lacking meaning of life. And we asked people about their worldviews. Well, this is what I said before. And we specifically asked PD patients who were in a assessment procedure in PD departments. We used a lot of questionnaires. The MLQ is actually the most used questionnaire. It has a presence meaning of life side and a search of meaning in life part. It's 10 questions, and there is even a short form used by the WHO, the WHO. Yeah. Lively designed a general assessment of personality disorders, 19 scales, and one of the scales is lack of meaning, purpose, and direction in life. And that we call the General Assessment of Personality Disorder, LMPD. To assess self-transcendence, we use the temperament and character inventory of Cloninger. To correct for depressive symptoms, we use the SEL90. To assess personality dimensions, we use the NEO, and we asked for worldviews and divided them in 3 categories: a religious worldview, a non-religious spiritual worldview, and an atheist absent worldview. Although I doubt whether it can have an absent worldview, but it can. So this is an example. This is the Meaning in Life questionnaire. It has some of the coherence part of a meaning in life. I understand my life's meaning. It's a purpose side of the meaning in life, and it asks literally, is your life, what are you aware of what makes your life meaningful? And it has the search dimensions. We had 4 research questions. Do patients with PD perceive lower levels? Well, I already gave the answer. How are possible levels, differences in levels affected by depression or by depressive symptoms? How are they affected by religious or other worldviews? And how do they depend on personality traits and on self-transcendence? Because in the alternative model, also the personality traits are part of the classification of personality disorder. But the NEO is not about, it's a general personality dimensions. It hasn't got anything to do with pathological, but mostly if you have a high score on the NEO neuroticism, it's likely that you're going into the realm of personality disorder. This is the sample characteristics, and it's not for you to read it all, but what's interesting, mostly women, a young population. The control group had a significant higher education. It's very hard in young people to find higher educated, because, and some are in the midst of a university study, but they broke down. So it's a bit confounding, perhaps. There were in the PD with depression group, there were a significant more religious people. The differences in the MLQ and the LMPD I'll discuss, and there was a significant difference in the personality with depression group and the personality disorder group on the neuroticism of the NEO. It's quite significant higher, so more neurotic people in the personality disorder with depression group, and the personality disorder group had a significant better score on the extroversion dimension. And the self-transcendence scale, it's Cloninger's who perceives it as a personality dimension, self-transcendency. Jalom says it's got a lot to do with meaning in life, but it didn't differ in the 3 groups. Perhaps because it's an old scale. It's been developed years ago, but and it's got slightly difficult items, I think, to answer for young people. So there were no differences, no significant differences in the 3 groups. And Cloninger also has investigated that before, so it's in accordance with previous research. The mean scores adjusted, so in the sample characteristics, these are the non-adjusted scores, but we adjusted them for gender, age, and education, and we adjusted them for the depressive symptoms. So that's the 30.3 is with the first adjustment, and with the depressive symptoms is the 15.8. And you see that there are significant differences and in the presence, and also after adjusting for depressive symptoms, but the effect size lowers, and in the LMPD, the effect size remains quite large in the PD groups compared to the control group. The search dimension shows, after correcting, no significance anymore. So this is in the figure, and with the two zeg je dat, staven in the diagrams, you see that the significance gets less, and the search dimension disappears in significance, and the LMPD is stronger in its significance than the presence, and I think that the LMPD has more to do also with depressive items. We also assessed worldviews, and you see in this table the PD group, the PD depression group, and the control group, and the three worldviews. And then you see that on the MLQ present, a religious worldview, those people score higher on meaning in life, on the presence of meaning in life, than having an atheist or an absent worldview. And the same counts for the LMPD. And it's also in the presence of the, it's also in the PD depression group on the MLQ presence. There are no significance in the search dimensions in the three groups. And it's also adjusted for depressive symptoms. And you see that a religious worldview leads to a higher presence of meaning in life. A lot of figures. It's important to see in this correlation table that there is quite a moderate, almost strong correlation between the MLQ presence and the lack of meaning in life, and the LMPD. Well, it's quite logical, but also with the SCL90 depression in the control group and in the patients group. And the NEO dimensions, they were only assessed in the patients group, not in the control group, the NEO. And in the patients group, there's a large correlation with neuroticism for the LMPD. And again, you see no significant correlations with the self-transcendent scale. Okay. In a multiple regression analysis, no significance with NEO dimensions on the MLQ presence. On the search, however, there's the neuroticism, the openness, the conscientiousness, and it differs a bit in the two PD groups. And in the lack of meaning, purpose and direction as an outcome variable, you see the extroversion, the inverse relation with the extroversion, and in the PD groups, the positive relation with neuroticism, and also the inverse relation with the extroversion. And it's typical, no agreeableness, no relationship in the search dimension. There's with a relationship with the conscientiousness. So I think it's a bit according to the common research or the previous research, but I think it's because it's in the patients groups that the outcomes are slightly different. What does this all say, all these tables and figures? Lower levels of presence of meaning in life characterize patients with PD, even more pronounced in patients with PD and depression compared to a control group. the levels of search for meaning didn't differ between the groups. And I think there are two types of searches. There are people who are searching and who have a lack of meaning, and that's a painful search. And there are people who have a large openness and who are having quite some meaning in life, but they are searching further. And I think these two come together. And the religious worldview was related to higher levels of meaning in life compared to an atheist absent worldview, specifically in the PD group without depression, but also in the other PD group. Extroversion was positively, neuroticism was negatively related to meaning in life, and openness, conscientiousness, and self-transcendence were related to the search for meaning. So there you have the search for meaning and self-transcendence. That's the only relationship we could find. And we saw the correlations between the meaning in life and the SCL-19 depression scales. So, concluding. Patients with personality disorder and comorbid depression are especially at risk. Now, that's my take-home message. I also have it because I said it now three or four times. I think that the third bullet is very important. Clinically, it remains relevant to differentiate PD and depression and to explore worldviews when confronted with patients suffering from a lack of meaning in their life. And I think that as a personality trait, it's more chronicle, and depression is more of a state, and a worldview is, I think, not something that's in a personality, but can go besides, and can be very supportive. King and Hicks, I'll recommend that article. It's about meaning in life in annual review of psychology in 2021, very recent. They say there are multiple pathways to the experience of meaning, and they say positive affect is really very important. But purposefulness seems to be more central to the construct of meaning in life, I think, from my own research. Purposefulness is also part of self-directedness. We come again to the alternative model, and that's a determinant of personality. So of coherence, purpose, and significance mattering, the purposefulness comes close to a personality dimension. But whether one perceives one's life as meaningful might depend more on the presence of the other two facets of the construct, coherence and mattering. These are perhaps related to identity, and mattering is related to well, how you feel your place in life, in the world, but also mattering to others, but also in a greater whole of life.
Oh, okay.
Questions? And questions. Thank you.
Can I?
Yes, and I noticed also 2 points in the chat, so we have to identify whether these are present. I want to see the joke. Oh, yes. That's a clear discussion. It's very, very fun these days. If it has been read, can you close the sharing?
Stop sharing?
Yeah. And then in the chat, see whether there are questions.
Yes, all is okay. That's nice.
We prefer positive support to questions, but questions are also welcome. So you can. Yes.
Yes.
Just an association about the meaning life questionnaire, presence and search. So with Jessie de Zetter, I did some studies on cluster analysis on those on the MLQ, and we found actually that people who were not searching anymore and didn't experience meaning in life, like in very different populations, like suffered the most. Like searching still seems like there is some hope, but it's with people who don't search anymore and who don't experience meaning in life you really should worry
Yeah.
about, and also about the others, of course.
You're right. You're totally right. Yeah. yeah,
So there is
yeah.
like something corrective, maybe like when you search for meaning, and indeed you have like a base, and sense like your life makes sense more or less. It's different when you know, when you search and don't have meaning, but then there is even when you give up and you don't search it.
Yeah, that's what Stiger also says himself. Yeah. Well, you did that with cluster analysis.
Yes, and we have like 4 clusters.
Yeah.
And almost like with young people, with elderly people, with depressed people, with prisoners, with clients in therapy, and they come every time. We always have those 4 clusters, and every time, like when there is a really low search and low meaning.
Yeah.
I wonder, Eline, can you understand the discussion? No, so that was too soft. But you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but the other speaker is not good to hear.
So Siebert explained about a study in which the search dimension has been put into a model with factor analysis, and that particularly those with low levels on the quest dimension are vulnerable to higher levels of various mental problems. Is that?
Yes, low search, low meaning.
Low search, low meaning. It's not. And has that been published?
Yeah, I think we published 5 studies.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. So message is clear.
Yeah, I didn't do the analysis. Who are the people who are high and low? Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?